Hello, and welcome to Thoughts Brewed. My name is Fadia.
And I am Megha. Welcome to your cozy nook on the internet.
Today we're sitting outside, you guys. Isn't it
Yes,
beautiful, Meg?
It is very cozy.
It's so cozy.
And the weather has been great.
Yeah, cozy in
Today.
the sense that like the sun is out. Would you
Yeah.
call it cozy? I'd call
At least
it
it's not windy.
bright.
When it's not windy, I like it.
Yeah,
It's cozy for
absolutely.
me, especially in Perth, because
Yeah.
it is always so windy.
That's crazy. But the definition of cozy for me is if it's
Yeah.
like rainy and then I'm sitting
Oh, no.
indoors in a nook. But outside we've made a really nice nook.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So,
and-
since we have moved here to Australia, rain is not cozy for me anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
I
like
get what you mean,
It's very
actually.
eerie, and you don't get to go outside. It like bounds me to home, and then I'm not making pakoras or chai.
Oh my God,
So it's not
yes.
really cozy for me
I
anymore,
get
and
it.
that's on me.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But,
But I do want to actually, before we jump into our topic, I want to talk to you about that. Isn't it crazy, based on what part of the world you're in, what climate you start to like? Like we
100%.
in Pakistan and India really glorify rain.
yeah, it's romanticized.
It's so romanticized
Yeah.
as opposed to here where it's like, oh, now I can't go out. So when the
Yeah.
sun is out, you're happy. Whereas in Pakistan or India, it's like, that's the weather. Like everyone's posting snaps of the rain and like
Yeah.
having pakoras, chai.
But it's also winter rain, I think, here in
Oh,
Perth.
yeah, true.
And in India and Pakistan, I believe it's like a relief from the summer. So you need to romanticize that because we love it there.
Yeah,
And it's
for
for
sure.
a good reason.
Next
And
time I'm
here-
making you pakode when it rains. Might be this week.
Yeah, it's raining tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
All day.
Okay, perfect. I love that. Guys, the topic that we're breaking down today is the experience of moving away from home, especially moving countries. Because even though a lot of people talk about it, we still feel like it's not talked about enough.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't even know what all we go through.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's also it has different layers. Like
Yeah.
it's difficult,
It is
but it's
difficult.
fun at
Yeah.
the same time. And it really depends on what age also you're moving.
Yes.
And for
sure.
us, we both similarly, I think it was a very similar age and times in our lives that
we moved in our mid-20s, both of
Yes.
us. But Meg, you had been traveling a bit before you moved, right? So I love Megha's story, Meg and Ryan's story of like actually moving. And I want you to touch on that a little bit, if you don't mind. Like, tell us a bit about what was happening and then how did you end up here? Because it's quite a fun story.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is, I guess. So Ryan was obviously, as you know, he was in Merchant Navy. So he did get to travel around a lot. And when we got married, I was on the ship with him
Yeah.
for about 4 months.
Yeah.
And we did almost like a whole world tour.
Yeah.
Because I did cross the equator twice. I went to the countries that I had never thought that I would be going to.
Yeah.
And Australia was one of those. Even though I had been to Australia once, to be honest, to my visit my aunt. She was in
Oh,
Northern Territory. I don't know if
really?
I've told you
No.
this. She's still there in
Yeah.
Northern Territory.
I know about the aunt. I didn't know you
Yeah,
know,
I
visited her.
visited her in 2013, and this was 2018 when I was on the ship. So I really wanted to move anywhere just to see how life is. Plus Ryan wanted to study more.
Yeah.
So when we were in Australia, we did the main ports.
Yeah.
We did Brisbane, we did Sydney, New South Wales, and we did Melbourne and
Yeah.
Perth, Fremantle.
Yeah.
And we absolutely loved Fremantle, like the
Fremantle's
vibes.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's got it's very different from Perth.
Yeah.
It's got its own history and it looks beautiful, and yeah, it's very artsy as well.
It's very historic and
Yeah.
artsy. Yeah.
So I think that pulled me, and I was like, okay, I love this, Ryan. I want you to study somewhere
Yeah.
in Fremantle.
Yeah.
And he found this course that suited what he wanted to do in at University of Western Australia, which obviously had a lot of layers. It was not this easy that he found something, we liked
Yeah.
it, blah, blah. It went through a lot of
Yeah.
all of the checkpoints that we had.
Yeah, if you've like moved, you know it's not
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Like he was literally really sitting university interviews. We didn't know that was a thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then he got through. We were really excited. So this is like how we basically cut the checklist off. Yes, we want to be in Perth and not Melbourne or anything, even though we have families there. You
Yeah.
know, somehow we just were so
Drawn.
drawn and
Perth
inclined
has that
towards-
about it.
Yeah,
You
it
really
does,
do.
right? And we hadn't even come to Perth, so it was a big decision. But when we moved, obviously we were more in Perth than Fremantle.
Yeah.
But we always took trips to Fremantle. You know how much
Yeah.
we go there.
They basically live in Fremantle, even though they've never lived there. But they always, like every weekend, I think you guys go.
Yeah, we were
It's
there.
really beautiful.
Yeah. So that's our story. But yeah, the whole thing is like out of so many places that we had been, I think I'd been to about 20 odd cities at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I chose Fremantle.
Yeah.
And then I met you.
Yes.
And then, you know, my whole life is
Yeah.
here now. So
I
it was a
know.
big
I'm so
move.
happy. Like, I'm so glad that life took the course it did, because like we became such amazing friends. Like adult friendships are so precious, and like we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
It's so, I am the happiest that I met you, you know, and it all kind of led to this. It all happened so that Megha and I could meet. This other thing that you always say, which, not to speak for you, but I know this is a big thing in your life. Megha has a certain idea of how she wants to work, and has, like, you don't just want to follow the crowd ever. You don't just want to do things because everyone's doing them. You have your own mindset around work and how we should be working, and you're big on balance. And I think you've told me this story many times where you're like, we landed in Frio and a lot of people, it was 5 p.m, was it? It was after work.
Yeah.
And everyone was just out for drinks, and Meg was like, everyone's done, it's 5 and everyone's already out of you know, the
Yeah,
office.
yeah.
Which, to be honest, that's
It's-
one thing I love
it-
about Perth.
Yeah, in Australia. I
In
think this was
Australia in
even that
general.
we noticed in Melbourne as well.
Yeah.
Like we were at around 5 o'clock, we were
Yeah.
just sitting, and everybody in their suits and boots, like proper
Yeah.
office dressed, were not in the offices anymore.
Yeah.
They were at the bars.
I mean, like, I work with so many clients, and you have, like, working in marketing, we work with a lot of people. You can't really reach out to someone after 5 and expect a response. Like,
Yeah.
even if you do, leave them an email. Phone call, absolutely not, unless it's, like, super urgent. But email, yeah, you can send it to them, but don't expect them to get back to you over the weekend, or, you know, unless they're a workaholic like you. Like, I've met some people who do then respond, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you online? They're like, why are you online?
Yeah, that happens.
Which is now a law here, isn't it? Like,
it is, I
employers
think.
can't, like, reach out to you.
Reach
You can, like,
out.
sue people for doing that.
So often, and if I look back in India, it was just like, I remember I had this big lash out with one of the companies that I was working at. They were expecting me to like reply at 9 p.m.
Oh my God.
And I didn't reply. And the next morning I was like, how can you blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I still have those group chats, and I sometimes look at me, oh my God, how did I speak like that? You know?
By the way, a lot of you might not know this, because in the podcast, I don't think it comes across, but Megha is a very, like, she's a rebel, and I'm the opposite. I'm so goody two-shoes, and Megha is like, why are they, you know, doing this? And, like, stand up for yourself, and, like, I'm not going to take anyone's shit, which I love.
Yeah, I come across, even when I rewatch the podcast, I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a sweetie.
Yeah, in the podcast, she's all, like, cutesy. Let's dive into our topic, which we'll touch on because it's such a big topic, and
Yeah.
we'll expand on it more in other episodes, because there have to be
No,
other
but you have to
episodes.
tell us about your story.
My story is not so interesting, because I
We all think
wasn't
about
on
our
a
stories.
ship going from port to port, and then landed on Perth, and was like, fell in love and then moved. I fell in love with my husband and moved to be with him.
Isn't that more precious?
So that in itself that's the story, but that's the extent of the story. There was no work-life balance. All of that I learned after I had moved.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's amazing. But I think a lot of my experience with moving was, like, immediately after moving, I realized that Perth is quite, having worked in marketing, I think you really realize that in terms of marketing, it's quite behind the rest of the world.
Backwards, I was gonna
It's
say,
very
yeah.
backwards. But one other thing about Perth is, this is intentional, right?
laid-back
People
attitude.
want to stay in the past a little bit. People don't want, you know, big billboards everywhere. They don't want skyscrapers everywhere. They don't want that. They choose this life and this way of life. And I think collectively Perth as a whole has decided that this is how, you know, we're going to curate.
That's a nice way you put that, because I always thought that maybe it's not intentional. It's just that Perth is backwards. They just don't know, and they have that intention in them that they want to, but they just really can't, because the eastern states always look at us like,
Yeah.
you are adopted.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you say that it's intentional, because when I see that there's a coastline and the parking and everything, you know, the situation that we much better have than the East Coast,
Yeah.
then I do feel that it could be intentional, that we do
Yeah.
not want to be that crowded
Yeah.
or have that race towards being, at least in marketing,
Yeah.
because they have these set things that they just keep doing, and they don't want to even do new things.
Yeah.
They're just happy with the way they're doing.
100%. I agree. I think it's just the way that the city is also structured. Like, our main center point is not the CBD. It's more, you go towards the beach. So if you're doing anything over the weekend, it's by the beach.
Oh, yes,
So, like,
that way,
the
yes.
community is structured in such a different way. Plus, the entire industry is obviously based on money, and we are far from everywhere else. So I think a part of it is that we have to be a certain way. But the other side of it is that people intentionally choose that. Like, you chose it because it was quiet and chill and very laid back. And that is a fact of, like, it's a fact about Perth, you know? It is quite chilled and laid back. What was Megha when you moved? This was 2019, right?
Yeah.
Right
Same as
before
yours, no?
COVID. Yes.
Yeah.
When we met, we were both 1 year into our lives, I think, in Perth. And I think that balance of, you know, wanting to stay connected to your roots while also exploring this new country and like really doing and really like becoming a part of the new country, I think we had a similar drive for it, as opposed to, you know, sometimes you meet someone and it's not the same.
Yeah, they're going through
Because-
different phases. We almost
Yeah.
felt like we were living the same
life.
similar life. Yeah, truly. Yeah, but what were your like hardships when you moved? What was the first thing that you were like, oh, I miss it?
Yeah. Meg, I think that no one can really prepare you for the experience of moving until you do it yourself. So you can hear about it and you can hear about how hard it'll be or how easy it'll be. But right up till the fact that you move, you just don't know what it'll be like. For me, I think the hardest part of it was losing my community that I had known forever. So, you know, you move away from your family and you've grown up there. And obviously, there are parts of your culture and your society that you despise, that you want to run away from. But then there are parts of it that are so beautiful. Like where I grew up in many different parts of Pakistan and also Africa, but where I was living prior to moving, Islamabad, was a place where I knew everyone. It's very similar to Perth in that. Everyone knows everyone. And, you know, I went to uni there and then I was working there. So it was, you know, all my friends were there. If you go out, you're bound to run into people, you know, because that's just how it is. Every weekend you have friends coming over, you're going out because you just have that community already established. Whereas whenever you move, unless you know a lot of people there, you are going to have to build that community. And I think that was the hardest challenge for me. And which is why I'm so grateful that I found you and some of my other friends, because they ended up becoming my core here. And I think the experience completely changes when you meet your people and then you form your community. But I think the hardest thing was just not having friends or someone that could relate to the experience initially of what it's like to move. Because the challenges are so different. Like having never worried about rent to worrying about it. Having never being worried about what job to get or how that'll, you know, even understanding the industry that you're going to work in and how to score a job or versus how to climb the ladder versus if you don't want to climb the
not
ladder.
having a local experience when you're applying
Yeah.
for the jobs, that
Absolutely.
was a big hindrance. I remember quite a bit of that, like going for the jobs and they're like, what have you done? And I'm like, oh, I've done these big brands in India. They're like, what about locally?
Yeah.
And I'm applying like a plumbing thing, you know, a plumbing or a landscaper business.
Yeah.
And I haven't worked those things. I don't know those industries, but I knew social media marketing. I knew digital marketing. So then I would try and sell my services still.
I think another really hard part of moving can be, Megha, in the West, and this is a common experience, we might be guilty of this too, but people have a certain perception of certain parts of the world. So someone who has grown up in Perth and runs their own agency in Perth and is hiring an account manager might immediately look at a resume that's from Pakistan and have a certain perception of what that candidate brings to the table. And oftentimes they might think that that candidate will not bring soft skills to the table. You know, they might not be a good communicator or they might not have certain skills that are inherently, you know, like you'll get those skills if you grew up here kind of thing.
Almost like a native.
Yeah. So you really do have to sell yourself and very quickly learn that you have to
You're against.
pitch yourself. Yeah.
You're
in the
almost
best way
against the
possible.
world because you have to kill their the thought process that they've already built with.
Yeah.
Like they're thinking, oh yes, you've come from Pakistan, obviously you don't have these soft skills, so you have to not only present your actual skills but also these skills, and you have to make them feel that they were
How do you do
actually
that in a
wrong.
resume?
Yeah.
Until you score the interview, you're like, and I would always think this. I was like, give me the interview and I will do it. But I need you to give me the interview. Don't just like write it off, my resume off, because I am from a particular country where you have a certain perception about, you know?
But I guess we were lucky around that time because the job market was bit not that competitive at that time. I felt that way. I don't know how you were feeling. Because I remember going for this job interview. I found a job on Gumtree, which was so shady. I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And at that time, I didn't even know if it was too shady, right? Because I had just arrived in the country. And I went to Bibra Lake, which was like 50 minutes or an hour away. Took buses and everything, obviously. And then I met, and it was a job like an internship, like a free internship.
Oh, they weren't paying.
Yeah, but I wanted the local experience. So I was like, I'll go for it, no problem. And I went for the interview and I was like chatting with them. And then they were like, you know what? I know it was a free thing, but we'll offer you $25 per hour.
Aww.
And I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. So your experiences can really differ. Yes, right. But you were right about just landing that interview.
Yes.
And then you turn it around in a way that
and
it
I
works.
think having a positive mindset goes a long way when you move initially. You are going to hear a million people tell you how hard it is out there and that you will not find a job. They will overtly tell you that you will not find a job.
Yeah, don't come here. They will say that.
But one advice that I give to like younger people that move now, and I've had this conversation with so many people over the years, is you have to network. Don't sit in your apartment and expect a job to just come to you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're applying, but are you networking? Are you reaching out to the relevant people? Are you really presenting yourself in the best way possible? Because that is what does it, in my opinion. I think if I've had, like, just as an example, if I've had 5 jobs in Perth, 4 out of those 5 have been through networking, or someone reached out because they knew me or knew of me or wanted to have a chat. That's just how things work. And I think that that is true for a lot of other places as well.
For sure.
Especially in marketing, you know, that's just how it works. You can't just keep pitching your skills from behind your laptop. It just does not work that way anymore.
I remember clearly when I was still in India and I was looking at the job markets because I was like, what if I score a job before even coming? You know?
Which happens.
Which happens, of course, yeah. But then I was reading all these comments on the, by the way, shout out to Facebook groups because they really helped us, you know, Ryan and I, myself. We were so reliant on them. We even found our first accommodation through Facebook group. So they can really help. But here I'm talking about the fact that I read so many comments that they were in like negative light. The people are coming, but they don't have jobs. And I was like so disheartened before even coming that, oh no, it's going to be hard. But then I was like, okay, I'm going to throw my phone. I'm just going to have my resume prepared, have everything like work on my skills that I can actually get a job for.
Yeah.
So again, like you said, the positive outlook is really important when you're moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't come disheartened. You cannot already give up. You have to try. And there's, like you said, there's something for everybody here.
Absolutely.
And everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. And surround yourself with positive people and positive energy.
Yeah.
People that encourage you, that applaud you for your small wins, and that also encourage you to be a better version of yourself. What are some other things that you found really challenging?
I think the food.
Yeah.
I do miss it a bit. Just the accessibility of getting, first of all, family to cook whenever they want to.
Oh my God, yes.
And they're like, oh, beta.
Here's your dal for the rest of the week.
Yeah, here, cut fruits for you. Like, I was so reliant on family to just cut the fruits. I don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's our age as well where we just don't want to cut fruits, you know, and I'm stuck in the fruits thing, but it's also the food and the flavor.
Yeah.
Even the restaurants, like I remember not going to the restaurants when we had just moved because obviously we were saving money.
Yeah.
We didn't want to go out to the restaurant. They were expensive. But even now, till date, it's been like, what, 5 years we have moved here? 4 or 5 years?
6 years.
Oh, shit. I can't count.
Yeah.
And I haven't found a restaurant that I can call home. I can say, oh, yeah, that is the restaurant. Fine, let's go. I'll show you some great Indian food.
Yeah. I get it.
No.
I feel the same way.
I think it's just Perth though, because we went to Sydney and Melbourne.
Oh my God, Melbourne has the best food.
Yeah, it has really good food. It won't disappoint at least.
No.
Perth disappoints.
Yeah, in terms of food, for sure. And I think that is when I fell in love with cooking, moving, because I found...
You could, because you at least knew how to cook. I was cooking as well, okay?
Meg, I learned here, but guys, this is one thing you have to know about Megha and Ryan. Like, Meg, you're just not the chef in your family. That's more Ryan, and that's totally fine. Whereas between me and Timur, I'm just better at cooking and he's just better at cleaning, and that's just how it is.
That's how it's me.
It always has to be one spouse or the other. I wonder if, like,
There's a
how it works if
balance.
like two people are good at cooking. Like if Timur was also good at cooking and wanted, his
be
me
in the
time in the kitchen,
kitchen.
I'd be like, this is my me time. I'm listening to Taylor Swift and making whatever I'm making. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, but I have to show you photos of what I tried cooking when I was cooking because Ryan was at university. I had more free time.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was really busy and I was still looking for jobs. So I was like, okay, how do I keep myself busy? So I
Yeah.
would cook and I have photos from the past. And I've tried making momos at home.
Oh
This
my
was like
God.
2-3 weeks.
We have to do a
into-
COVID episode where Megha walks us through what she was cooking and what I was cooking because I
Yeah,
was
but
also
this is
cooking.
before COVID
Oh, nice.
because I was just missing food. I was making puriya.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was making fried rice and so many other things that I never thought I'd cook. And my
Yeah.
family was like really impressed. They were
Yeah.
like, how are you doing all
How
this?
are you doing
I was
it?
making kebabs and tikkiya and all
Yeah.
that, like fancy stuff, you know?
Yeah, fancy. I love it. By the way, you guys, the best thing Megha has done in life is introduce me to momos.
Oh, yes. Girl, she didn't know about
I
momos.
didn't know about momos, and I only found out through you, and I'm obsessed. I think food is definitely one of those things that you really miss when you move, and only after you move do you realize how much it means to you.
Yeah.
I didn't take food so seriously until I moved, and then that is how I connected with home. So if I cooked something and it tasted like my mom's, I would want to cry because I was like, this is incredible. I've done it, And initially when I'd moved, I just thought we'd get pre-made meals and it'll be fine because who cares? But really, it is such a big part of who I am and how we connect as Desi people. And I think it's
100%.
similar in a lot of cultures across the board. And so being able to cook a meal that feels like it's from home, that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So now whenever, like I think I feel very at home at your house. So when I go to Megha's house and like Ryan's cooked something and then we sit and eat, it's the best feeling. And I think it's those things that really, you miss about home.
Miss about home, yeah. And I also miss like the street corners, yeah. Like golgappas, I just miss them. Do you have
In
golgappas
India,
in Pakistan?
Meg, because I've seen so many videos of this and it's so cool to me, but in India, they give you one golgappa at a time.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
In Pakistan, they don't. They'll bring out the plate to you and then it'll be 6.
Oh,
So
and
they
you
don't
do
prepare it
Oh,
for you.
That's like here at restaurants. They do it here at
Yes,
Perth. Maybe they learned it
yes.
from Pakistan.
Yeah, maybe. But I love the idea of like you get one at a time and then you.
Yeah, there's
I
a
would just
proper
not know when to
server.
stop.
There's a proper server who's got gloves and everything at a nice place, and he's feeding you with love.
Yeah.
Really, Farah.
do a
And the
breakdown.
next one is ready.
Oh, before you even finish the film.
Yeah.
Meg, is there something like that
And you
in
can
Perth?
tell them कि इस वाले में this ज़्यादा, इस वाले में
Oh
that
my
कम.
god. I would ask for more imli. Always.
Always, yeah. We call it saunt there, like meaty chutney
Oh,
होती है
meaty
because
chutney.
that imli.
Actually, do you guys have a meaty version and then a khatta version?
Yeah,
of-
yeah.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, there was in
And then the
in my
khatta pani
town.
we would just drink in the end.
Yeah,
It's so good.
like my mouth is watering.
Oh my god, do you know Prime Products?
Our Indian shop.
Our
next
local Indian
door.
shop has golgappas that they make, like homemade golgappas.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
should have brought them because I was thinking about
Yeah,
it.
it's not the same.
Yeah.
But we can try.
We can try, but it's
So see, this is the biggest thing, right? It'll never. These things can never be the same.
you can't
Ghar ka
replicate
khana
it.
You can,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you can try.
But would you say that one of the biggest things that happened when you moved was that you found newfound respect for your culture? And not just respect, but love.
Yeah,
like you realize that
100%.
you're made of it. This is what you're
Yeah.
made up of. And no matter where you go, you'll take it with you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like just being able to miss that thing is such a privilege as well because I've
Absolutely.
tasted that before.
Yeah.
I know what I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
These flavors, I'm aware of these flavors. If I
Yes.
didn't know about them, I'd be so sad. What am I doing with
What
my
a
life?
sad,
I'm
bland
sorry.
life that would be. I get it. But also,
You know
I think,
Sarah from Ireland?
Yeah.
She loves Indian food as well.
Yeah.
So we do like desi food. So we were in Japan.
yeah,
We went to this Indian shop because
Yeah.
we just wanted to have biryani.
yeah.
And I love the fact that she also likes to try all
Yeah.
these spice foods.
I think you've really introduced her to a lot
Hmm.
of culture because I remember you would have movie nights with her where
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
would watch a Bollywood movie every night. That's
Yeah.
so fun.
That's so funny. I miss that.
But I love that. My friend Camilla, who's from Colombia, fell in love with biryani, and then every time she would come over, I'd make her Pakistani food, and she loved it, and I loved feeding her, and I love feeding all my friends. So it's just such a way to connect
Yeah,
now.
it really is. But you know, when we'll do the lockdown episode, I'll show you what all other fancy food I cooked because
Okay.
I like to do things that take time.
Yeah. You like to curate. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Megha, cooking is like an experience. And you will only do it like when you're in the mood. It's like
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
Whereas I would do it every day. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, it's like a therapy for you, isn't
It's
it?
like therapy for me. I feel like the world slows down and I'm in my own element. And I feel like I have so much control over what I'm cooking. And then I know I'm going to get a delicious meal at the end of it. So sometimes I say to them, or I'm like, Temur, you're so lucky because I love to cook. But I do it for me, man. Like, whenever I'm craving something at the end of a long day at work, I'm like, what do I feel like eating tonight? And then I'll cook it. And there is no better feeling than when that
Yeah.
turns out,
Yeah.
like you
I
want
feel
it.
this podcast video, when we do the video version, it'll have a lot of photos of the food that
Yes!
we've cooked. It'll
True.
be so good.
Meg, a thing that we've recently been talking about is, do you ever really feel like you're at home when you move? Or is that something that is often challenging? Or does it come and go? Do you feel at home some days and other days you're like, actually, is something else out there? And that just might be the experience of moving.
Mm-hmm. It is very relatable, especially because we are just two people in the house, right? Ryan and myself. And we both never really felt belonging, here or anywhere for that matter, because Ryan is Anglo-Indian, right? So even in India, his name would also never be pronounced right, because people would call him Rayan or something, it'd be really funny, but also sad at the same time. And then we moved here hoping that we'd feel that belonging here.
Yeah.
But it is difficult. Of course, you miss home, as in you miss family and everything, but just the fact that you don't even know which community to be a part of,
Yeah.
that is sort of jarring in itself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're going to do.
I totally get what you're saying. It's like you'll be a part of the Desi community and you'll be at a Desi event and you're like, this is not my vibe. But then you're
Yeah.
at another event which is absolutely the opposite of that and you're like, this is also not my vibe. And so finding your friends and your people is so difficult. But Meg, I want to touch on this thing which this is a belief that was formed only after I had moved to Australia. One of my first jobs allowed me to meet heaps of different people from different walks of life. And some of my core friends I met through that job. And we are all so different. And I think that's why we all connect so much. Because there's so much acceptance of each other's backgrounds, of each other's cultures.
Yeah.
So if another friend, for example, doesn't eat halal, but we all go out, that friend is going to have my back and take me out to a place where I'll find halal food, if that's important to me. And so I have felt more belonging in groups that are so diverse, as
Yeah.
opposed to a lot of people who are from like the same background. And I think that is just how it becomes when you are
And
older
that becomes
you move.
home almost for you, because
Absolutely.
you feel the sense that, yes, everybody is different, but they're all doing their things to make it comfortable for them. And that in
Absolutely.
itself is so comforting.
I think one thing you say, which I want you to touch on, is the specific experience of moving to Perth and how what the demographic is like. Most people have always lived here.
Yeah, even like on Reddit, I've been reading like how people of 27 or 25 are moving, and I don't know from which countries, but they're finding it really hard to make friends here.
Yeah.
And I think it is because people who've been living here, if they haven't gone to the university, let's say, because university and jobs are one place where you can find friends, right? But let's say if you've just come in a proper job where you're only working with demographics that you're older than you,
Yeah.
then it's very difficult to find friends,
Yeah.
because people have been living here forever. Like, they've been born and bred here, right?
Yeah.
So they have their own circles already. So why would they want to make a new friend when they're content in their lives
Yeah.
with friends? So that is a very difficult part where you aren't even allowed to enter in a community.
Yeah.
You cannot feel it. You're not being invited.
Yeah. And it's not intentional, I think, on their part.
Yeah.
But so, for example, and I felt this in a lot of places that I've kind of grown up in, places that, or cities that are very diverse, or that have people living there from many different countries or walks of life, so Karachi, for example. Karachi in Pakistan, I'm giving Pakistan's example because I can relate to it, and you might be able to relate to the same to India. So in Karachi, people move to Karachi from all over to then work there and build a life there.
Oh, yes, yeah.
As
I know what
opposed
you
to
mean.
Islamabad, a lot of people move away from Islamabad for work.
To find work. Yes.
But everyone in Islamabad knows each other because we all just grew up there or went to uni there or have families there. And I think the same is true for Perth. So because Perth is so isolated, everyone that's here has been living here forever. So new movers or people that have just recently come obviously find it a little bit more difficult because that community is already so, like, for example, let's take us as an example. I'm already such close friends with you. I don't need a new friend. So if someone new moves and posts on a group where they're like looking for, you know, someone to like-minded people and then list the things they want, I'm not even in that group. I'm not even looking for another friend because I've got what I needed, and I've got literally, I just need one singular friend. But which is why I love the idea of like a city that's maybe bigger where people have just moved. A lot of people have moved. So everyone's kind of looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that allows for a lot more organic ways to just meet people.
Yeah,
and
100%.
find new friends.
And that's what Ryan and I also talk about quite a bit, that how Perth, you know, we never had Pakistani friends or friends from any other cultural when we were in India. But moving really helps you open and widens your experiences for different cultures and different people, and how beautiful their cultures are.
Absolutely.
How different but same, you know, things
Literally.
are in other people's
Absolutely.
lives. So this you absolutely adore, and something that you take
That's
away.
one of the best things about it.
moving.
Absolutely. That
But
is
do
the
you
thing.
feel the people around us when we have met here in Perth, like let's say people who were brought up in Perth, not the people who've moved here, do you think they are also as accepting of our cultures or our things that we bring? Do they even want to know what we bring and where we're from?
I think there's different kinds of people. Some are,
100%,
some
yeah.
aren't. But also, I think in life, if you've never had to do a thing or explore a thing, you're just not going to do it oftentimes. So I've found that, for example, if I meet someone who's just grown up in Perth, hasn't really left Perth, and is just knows this as their reality, after they get to know me and after we've had a few conversations, and only after they realize that we are more similar than they think, will they actually want to know more. And so I've had those experiences, but you really do have to open yourself up to new ideas and new ways of living and new ways of growing up and experiences before you can actually connect with people. And that's something that moving has definitely taught me. There is always going to be something that you'll have in common with someone else. And you just have to find that thing. And once you find it, you'll be able to be friends, most likely, unless they are of a completely different political opinion or
Then it's
completely different, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So like you said, it depends on person to person, but there have been experiences where I've been like, oh, maybe they need to read a history book or something, you know? I have met really knowledgeable people. Some of my clients know what's happened in the world, but I'll tell you this thing. When I was here in 2013 visiting Darwin, I went to a shop and I was just with my aunt and I was just speaking to the shopkeeper and she was like, oh my God, your English is so good. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was a compliment because we speak in English in India, right? It's taught. Yes, I didn't take that. I didn't know. Obviously, I was very young at that time. I didn't understand why she said what she said. But it's just the ignorance that have any idea about what's happening in the world. And that's not good for anybody.
Do you think it's a responsibility as humans for us to educate ourselves on communities from all around the world? Or do you think that's something that you would love as someone who's moved, but you don't think it's everyone's responsibility?
I think obviously it's around all the communities. It's very hard. Even I don't know much, but I am open to learning. And sometimes I did feel like I'm at work, gotten a job, but somebody doesn't even know that where I'm from. They won't even come and ask me, which part of the world are you from?
Yeah.
Welcome to the company.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
I do feel like as quite a diverse country and quite a diverse city, which Perth is, it would, I think it's people's responsibility if you have multiple people around you to make the effort to learn. So it started raining. Thank you for hanging out with us today. It's now raining. We're going to run inside.
Yes.
But we had so much fun recording
And talk
this.
about weather, right? We started with Perth rain,
We
didn't
started
we?
with and it's raining now. Anyways, we had such a good time recording this one, and we hope you got some value out of listening to it. And we want to keep this topic going, and hopefully we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.